You found the WMIX Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. The Saturday Sports Show has been recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the top radio programs in the state. That means the very best mix of local sports content is right here. From the powerhouse on Broadway, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. Danny Zerwinski in studio with Avery Barton. Jeff Crow, Chris Hugo, heading down the road to Carbondale. It's a triple header of basketball here again on WMIX, as we have 3 games today, 1 on the AM, 2 on the FM this evening. I'm very happy to bring it to you. Danny Zerwinski here. We hope you've had a good week, good sports week in general, good everything, as we get ready to go for the final edition of the Saturday Sports Show here of January 14. Brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It is a busy, busy week of basketball, as everybody knows, high school sports-wise, and even junior high. And, of course, our guest list today will cover that. We'll have Scott Gamber on here at 8:20. He'll talk about the Mount Vernon Rams. They're coming off a loss last night to Edwardsville. They'll play this evening in the third-place game at the Salem Invitational Tournament. And then following him is a guy, one of the hottest teams in Southern Illinois as far as winning streaks goes. Andy Sloan, head coach of the Benton Rangerettes, 11-game win streak right now. They'll play at Murfreesboro this afternoon in a makeup game in an Ohio Division River matchup. At 8:50, we'll have Jeff Lonan on. His Lady Rams lost a tough one last night, 47-46 to Massac County. You heard that game here on AM 940. And then we'll swing around to the top of the hour at 9:05. We'll have Woodlawn High School boys basketball coach Shane Witzel on. The Cardinals will go for their 6th straight Midland Trail Conference tournament tonight as they take on their friends to the north, the Odin Eagles. You can listen to that game on FM tonight at 7 o'clock, pregame at 6:45 as the Woodlawn Cardinals take on Odin in that championship game. At 9:15 today, Greg Hale. He is the executive director of the SIJHSAA, also known as the Southern Illinois Junior High School Athletic Association. Avery looked at me like academics. No, Athletic Association. Class M girls state tournament started yesterday at Wren Lake. Class S and L go to this morning and this afternoon at Wren Lake, of course, over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. So many people, so many schools, so many fans will make that trek down to Wren Lake for the state tournament in all 3 classes in both boys and girls basketball. And then last but not least, we're going to have a guy that's in the know. He was everywhere last night, does such a good job of covering sports in Southern Illinois on Channel 3. Is Darren Kennard, the sports director at WSIL. He'll join us. We're going to discuss, probably not cuss, but discuss. And Avery's looked at me twice in the first 2 minutes. We're going to discuss all things high school sports as far as conference, tournaments, rumors, maybe what we would do if we were in charge, that kind of thing. So we got a loaded lineup, and of course on a day like today, we tried to stay away from a lot of coaches that have games early. Of course, we have Jeff Lonan on, of course, at 8:50 as usual, but trying to stay away from those coaches right now today because everybody had such a quick turnaround last night. Everybody looking at things and going, we got games this morning, this afternoon. People will be going through walkthroughs, shootouts, whatever the case may be. We got to keep coaches busy with their teams, as the aforementioned. Avery, how are you today? You're awful quiet over there.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You kind of snaked in here this morning.
Yeah.
Some of our coworkers saw your snaking abilities in Mount Vernon, driving around.
Yeah, and they said I couldn't drive. So,
well,
I don't know if that's attesting that I can drive, but I got here.
You're here.
I'm here, so that's something.
You're here, and you got here. I didn't think there was any problems with how you got here, to my knowledge.
Well,
maybe one, but that's not going to be talked about. But there was some discussion and discretion with some driving skills or lack thereof this morning, the big argument before the show about driving and whatnot and what to do, what not to do. But Avery Barton's here punching the buttons across from me here on the Saturday Sports Show. And let's go to the scoreboard from last night. And there's a big one located at WMIXsports.com. Of course, we update that every night throughout the high school sports season from August through June. In Special Olympics basketball last night, the Mount Vernon Rams got another win over the Lightning Bolts in Carbondale, 62-44. Junior high girls basketball Class M state tournament last night at Wren Lake. Valmeyer beat Cesar-Valere 35-34. Lebanon beat Gallatin County 66-21. Fairfield beat Meridian 32-21. And Oakville beat Unity Point out of Carbondale 28-20. 20. All right, boys basketball. Let's go through the slew of tournaments. First, some non-conference or non-tournament games, I should say, of interest. Hardin County beat Thompsonville 69-66. Patoka beat Vandalia 62-49. Marissa Coulterville beat Agape Christian 54-44. Valmeyer got a win against Valley Park, Missouri 59-50. And ZR beat Alvarado in BDC play 91-36. And Chester got a nice win against Christopher last night 58-44. All right, here we go. Boys tournaments. At the Chick-fil-A Classic in Belleville at the East High School, Madison Prep over McClure, 74-52. And Altoff comes from behind to beat arch rival Belleville West, 48-47. At the BIT last night, close games all the way around. In overtime, Oakville beats Carlisle, 53-44. Pinckneyville over Hamilton County, 57-47. Cesar-Valere over Benton in the Battle of Franklin County, at least last night, 52-48. At Carmi, overtime, Mount Vernon, Indiana beat Fairfield 65-59, and Harrisburg beat Carmi 80-67. At the Country Market Classic at Jacksonville, Taylorville beat QND 49-42, Chatham over Rochester 56-33, and Lincoln beat Jacksonville 53-25. Jerseyville tournament, it was Coquille over Marquette, 58-47. Jersey got Pittsfield, 60-42. Litchfield over Lebanon, 55-38. Nokomis beat Columbia, 47-41. Email beat East Alton-Wood River, 63-56. And Civic beat Mount Zion, 46-36. Little Illini Conference tournament, Floor over Cumberland, 65-44. Oblong over Red Hill, 69-46. Robinson over Hutt Powell, 53-25. Lawrenceville over Edwards County, 72-49. It's Superman Classic. Massac over Union County, 55-41. Tillman over Meridian overtime, 85-81. At the Midland Trail last night, Consolation Championship goes to North Clay over Sisney, 37-33. Waltonville over Wayne City, 54-43 for third place. NIT, Breeze Central got Jabot, 43-36, and Mater Dei got T-Town, 53-43. So I'm looking here at my little cheat sheets here, and I got to look, and I got to find some cheat sheets. I have papers scattered everywhere. Avery has it marked out, but as we see, Mater Dei and Central will play at Nashville. And then, they're somewhere in this book of fun, I can tell you. Well, definitely in their book of fun. Breeze Central girls also playing a title game at Highland today, so Breeze Central getting a double dip. Then you go down, and let's go to Salem. Of course, a game you heard on WMIX. Edwardsville beat Mount Vernon 61-53, and Centralia beat Effingham 51-36. At Sparta, Murphy over DuQuoin 46-32. Waterloo over Sparta 62-47. Trico beat Steelville 60-55. And at West Frankfort, boys play Heron over Johnston City 52-44. Goreville beat AJ 78-67, and Carterville beat West Frankfort 73-56. Now girls play. Wayne City beat Christ Our Rock 47-34. At Carbondale last night, a game you heard on the AM. Massac nipped Mount Vernon again 47-46. Collinsville beat Marion 49-38, and Carbondale beat Muscuda 51-34. And at the El Dorado tournament, Mount Carmel beat Goreville 63-36. El Dorado over Harrisburg 49-43, and Fairfield beat AJ 44-41. At Highland, Nashville beat Salem 54-42. Highland beat Carlisle 60-46, and Belleville West beat T-Town 48-35. Need a score? Missed one? Just tuned in? Go to WMIXsports.com. You will have a scoreboard there, all the games from last night, plus non-conference and tournament as we get ready to go. I think, Avery, we got it all covered, right? That was pretty good. Feel good about it?
I feel pretty good about it.
Feel pretty good about it here in the studio?
Yeah.
Shaking good? All right. Scores are covered. Guests have been introduced. If you go to Facebook.com/WMIX Sports, you can see the WMIX Sports social media question of the week. It's posted, but we won't announce it, as is tradition. We will wait for our first guest. We'll need to take our break, though. When we come back, the head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams, Scott Gamber, will join us. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpal Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
Raise your hand if you're tired of showing up for a service appointment only to sit around a waiting room. Hi, Roy Schmidt, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer at King City Chrysler Center. Our express lane fast oil changes and more provide quick, convenient service with no appointment needed. Our specialists are on hand to wait on you with lanes dedicated just for your oil changes, tire rotation, brake inspections, batteries, bulbs, wiper blades, air filter replacements, and more. We will also perform complimentary vehicle inspection with every oil change. We work around your schedule, open weekdays from 7:30 until 5 and Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon. See Express Lane Fast Oil Changes and more for all of your service needs, and we will get you back on the road quick. We're located at King City Chrysler Center at 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon, Illinois. Just another reason you can count on us.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One Account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. Danny Snorwitzky with Avery Barton in studio. Chris Hugo and Jeff Crow en route to Carbondale for Lady Rams basketball 10. Mike Richardson on assignment. Joining us now is the head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams, Scott Gamber. Coach, how are you this morning? I have to ask, although I probably know the answer.
Yeah, all right. I mean, things I was really happy with last night, and then things I wish we would have done a little better. I mean, they're a really good basketball team, and we put ourselves in a position to within striking distance. But a few things I wish we would have done early that kind of put us behind the 8 ball.
Looking back at, let's go Thursday night with Salem first. Of course, you played there, and you get the opportunity to play the host Wildcats on their home floor. And going in that game, it seemed to me, from listening to the broadcast on the way back from a game I did, it seemed that Salem put up a lot fight early on their home floor, being their own tournament. They were ready to go that night. I thought your team did, from what I could tell, a pretty good job of being focused and coming out for that one.
Yeah, Salem's got one kid hurt. They had one kid quit. I thought their kids did a really good job of playing hard. That game was. I was so worried about how we would start the game, and we get off to a good start. We get up 15-1 after the first quarter, and I really think we got a chance to really just put them away early. And we had a really sloppy second quarter. I think we kind of. I think our kids did a great job of not starting the game thinking, "Hey, this team's 3-13, and their two of their 3 best players are out." But it's like at the end of the first quarter, they thought, "All right, well, we're gonna kill them." And we had a rough second quarter. We let them kind of dictate everything that went on, and we were only up 10 at the half. But then I thought our kids came out in the third quarter, played well, and then played a nice fourth quarter. And I was worried about that game. I was worried that at Salem, when a team who's struggling loses 2 players, that they can go a couple ways. They can either kind of quit or they can come out and really try to rally around things. And I thought Salem's kids played hard and did what they needed to do. They just lack the firepower right now to be able to knock us off in a 32-minute game.
So you get that win Thursday night. Of course, last night, rare that Mount Vernon is an underdog or the smaller dog in the fight here in Southern Illinois. You're taking on 4A Edwardsville, state-ranked, couple great players. To me, it sounded like your team gave them everything they had and more as it went down last night. Talk about that game, your effort there, especially down the stretch, clawing back and trying to get back in that game last night against Edwardsville.
Yeah, I was really proud of the way our kids played. For us to beat Edwardsville, we needed Edwardsville to have a night where they maybe struggled, and we got the exact opposite. I mean, the Sean Roundtree kid, 6 of 7 from 3 for the game. He has 27 points. I don't think he missed, other than the 1-3, I don't think he missed a shot. When you're trying to guard, the Arlen Fletcher that's going to SIU, I thought our kids did a really good job on him. We needed a couple of the role players to miss shots, and they did. I mean, they hit every shot they looked at. And late, when we were pressuring, I thought we got the kid that we wanted to shoot 2 perimeter shots from the dead corner, and both of them go in. If he misses both of those, we have a great chance to have a chance to get that game. And he makes them both. And any team coached by Coach Waldo, they do not make mistakes. We could not get them to turn it over. And when you're having to gamble like that late because you're down, it opens up some opportunities, and they really did a good job of taking advantage. And their 1-3-1 defense caused us major problems. When we could get them in man, I thought our kids did a really good job of finishing and attacking. The problem was, anytime we would have a little success in man, they'd go right back to that 1-3-1, and their length and athleticism just really bothered us.
Looking at that, the game's behind. Now you come into an afternoon tilt, basically late afternoon, early evening against Effingham, a team that has, Mount Vernon Effingham has a long track record of history. You'll play them now. You'll play them later in the regular season. What do you know about Effingham? What can you tell our listeners to look for when you play Effingham this evening?
Yeah, Effingham, this is, like, as far as from a coaching standpoint of preps, it doesn't get much more difficult than Edwardsville and Effingham. Both of those two coaches are as good as it gets at what they do on the offensive end and how they play defense. Effingham runs a ton of different continuities. Their kids play extremely hard and are very physical. And last night in the Centralia game, what that really hurt Effingham was the fact that the officials called that game so tight. Effingham's physicality kind of hurt them. So tonight, if it's not called as tight, that's something that our kids are going to have to get ready for, is the fact that Effingham kids play hard, they screen you hard. I love the way that Coach Reed's teams play. It seems like it doesn't matter what their personnel is, they're going to play like that. I think 14, their point guard's a really good player. We've got to do a good job of keeping him from being this 23. Lark's a really good player. We've got to keep him from beating us. We've got to make one of their other guys beat us tonight. But it's a game where I don't expect there to be a ton of points scored. Effingham is very deliberate in what they do. They are willing to turn their continuities over and over and over until they get the shot they want. And then defensively, they do a great job of making things extremely difficult on you. So, you've got to be willing to maybe work it an extra couple passes to get a shot against their defense.
Scott Gamberg, head coach of Mount Vernon Rams, joins Saturday Sports Show. Coach, I got to ask this. Who was your first win against as a head coach for the Mount Vernon Rams?
Yeah, Belleville East.
Okay.
My first year we were in the Alton tournament, and we played Alton in the first game, and we played really, really well, and we were tied, got fouled with like 15 seconds to go. We missed the front end of a 1-and-1, and Alton came down and hit a shot at the buzzer to beat us. And then we turned around the next night and were able to beat Belleville East.
So 99 wins later, and see, I still picture you at St. Louis helping to break that scoring record to shootout. But is it hard to believe you've been around long enough now? You've got 100 coaching wins at Mount Vernon, fifth coach to ever do that at Mount Vernon High School?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's been that long since I've been head coach. I can't believe it's. I'm in my 6th year and 9th year overall in the program coaching. So it's going by really fast, and it was nice that you guys tweeted that, because I honestly did not realize that until I saw it. I knew at the beginning of the year that there was a chance of getting that, but didn't know the number exactly, and that was really nice of you guys to tweet that. And
well,
it's nice. But
go ahead.
Now we're really worried about getting 101.
Well, if we get 101, I will tell you this. The little birdie that tweeted me told me about this, and we got it on there. But there's also a little birdie said something else, and I'll text you that. But some little birdie you know real well that got 3rd place at the Midland Trail last night told me something else about what else kind of award you've earned at Mount Vernon High School. I'll text you that here in a minute. But, I can't say it over the air. It wasn't very nice. But you can handle that later.
I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah. And 100 wins, so many things going on, and you get 3 games in 3 nights here at Salem, and then next week Althoff on the road. You try not to look ahead past Effingham because Althoff will be a big game in itself conference-wise, but, what can you take from Salem this week playing 3 games in 3 nights heading into the rest of the season as you head towards postseason?
I think it's been a really it's been really good for us, and tonight's going to be really good for us too. Last night in the Edwardsville game, I think our kids really got an idea of what it takes to beat a really good team. Tonight they're going to get a really good taste of what it takes to be a good team that plays physical, that runs a lot of good stuff. I've always thought the Salem tournament is really a great measuring stick for the postseason, because after this week, it goes by really fast. You don't have many games left. Most of them are conference games. This is definitely the downhill stretch after this tournament. And it's one of my favorite tournaments. I love the atmosphere. I really hope we can compete and get a win tonight, because I think if we could knock off Effingham, I think that would give us some confidence. And with the stretch that we're getting ready to go into, I just think that this game would be really important to win, because we're getting ready to get to a really rough stretch of our schedule where we're at Althoff, we've got Cahokia here, we're at Jerseyville, we're at Marion, and we've got Centralia here, we've got Carbondale here. I mean, this we could play well during this stretch and come up empty, and so it's kind of a scary time right now. We're in a decent spot, but we could lose a bunch in a row here if we don't play really good basketball.
Final question for you is, of course, our social media question of the week, and I know after last weekend you may not care about this question, but it is: what kind of weather do you want the Super Bowl to be played in next weekend?
I want it to be nasty. I want it to be something that we haven't seen before. I know a lot of people don't want that, and I know the football purists would say that it'll ruin the game, but I want it to be. I want there to be some type of an adverse weather condition that you don't normally see in a Super Bowl.
I'm kind of like you. I think I'm leaning towards the snow and wind. I know it's going to be windy because it's at MetLife Stadium, the Meadowlands there. But I want some snow. I want some blowing snow. I want some issues. If they're going to have it outside, they wanted this. I want some issues like you.
Yep. There needed to be some issues last Sunday in Denver, so that the Patriots could be Peyton Manning. It didn't need to be like 50-something and no win.
Yeah, you got cheated a little bit last week because you go to Denver in January and you're expecting snow, cold, and blowing. You got 59. And then you got Wes Welker going across the middle.
Yeah, that's no good. That's no good. We need it.
All right. Coach, thanks for joining us this morning. We'll let you go. You know you got to get ready for Effingham today at 5 o'clock. Appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk to you tonight and, of course, next week as well.
All right, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
That's Scott Gamber, head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams. They'll play at 5 p.m. today against Effingham in the third-place game. In the championship game tonight at 8 o'clock, it'll be Centralia and Edwardsville. And, of course, Centralia, Edwardsville, and Mount Vernon have won that SIT championship since something like 1987. Of course, today at Effingham at 11:30, Marion will play Mattoon, and at 1 o'clock, Lovejoy will play Salem. Those winners will play in the Consolation Championship tonight at 6:30. Third place game at 5, championship at 8. Of course, the Mount Vernon Rams game, pregame will be at 4:45, and opening tip will be at 5 p.m. You can listen to it on 94.1 FM, WMIX, or, of course, online at WMIXsports.com. No video due to the blackout restrictions in Salem. We'll take a break and come back. We'll kind of get you caught up a little bit here on the brackets and what's going on as far as tournaments go before we go to our next guest, who you're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Auto has been in business for 33 years. They believe in doing business the right way with honest deals. It's the only way they know. And thanks to Second Chance Auto, you don't have to head out of town to get financing. They offer bank rate financing to everyone. Yes, everyone. You'll find a great selection of quality vehicles with 3-month or 3,000-mile warranties. Come see why they've been successful for 33 years at Second Chance Auto. Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. Call 244-4582.
I'm Jeremy Pearson with a look at your next rad weather. We'll see a flurry or two early. Otherwise, clouds will give way to some sunshine. It'll be breezy today. Temperatures will fall into and through the 20s. Partly cloudy and quite cold tonight, low 14. Breezy and not as cold tomorrow with a blend of clouds and sunshine, high 46. And Monday is looking mostly sunny, breezy, and much colder, high 12. But wind chills will stay well below zero all day. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Saturday Sports Show on WMX, brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. Danny Zerwinski and Avery Barton in studio. Jeff Crow, Chris Hugo heading down the road to Carbondale for Lady Rams basketball at 10 a.m. on AM today against Collinsville. Pre-game be at 9:45 here on AM 940, and you can watch it online at WMIXsports.com. Of course, that'll preempt this show, so Avery, we don't have to work as much today. It's a good deal for us.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still be.
You got to work.
Yeah.
How many games you have that work today?
I think 2.
2?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the schedule. I kind of go day by day.
You're kind of like, I got to go game by game.
Yeah, that's.
I can't tell you. I think I can almost tell you where I'm at next week game wise, as far as town. But as far as who they're playing or what, I don't know. I have to look at the calendar. I'm kind of like you, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Game to game. We'll get you caught up on our brackets or at least some tournaments around of who's playing what and who. At Nashville today at 12 o'clock, it's Muscuda and Westland. And at 1:30 in a consolation game, it's Nashville-Freeburg. Then tonight at 6:30, Chabot and T-Town. And in the first place game, the Battle of Breeze, Central and Mater Dei. That'll be interesting. At the Midland Trail at North Clay tonight, it'll be Woodlawn and Odin at 7 p.m. Of course, you can listen to that game on WMIX 94.1 FM or listen to it live online at WMIXsports.com. Jerseyville, it's Pittsfield and Collinsville. Cokie and Jerseyville wrap it up at Carmine, Mount Vernon, Indiana, and Mount Carmel as the Aces go for a title. And we go from there. We'll take our next break. When we come back, we will go to another guest, a surprise guest. We just slipped in. We'll come back with that. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. Imagine this. You're driving down the road. It's dark as can be outside. Thank goodness you just had that left headlight bulb replaced. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see a thing. Now, close your eyes. Okay, don't close your eyes. You're supposed to be driving. Imagine noticing a slight twinkle off to the left, just above the ditch. What is that, you think to yourself? All of a sudden, whap! You've just encountered your first deer hit. The left side of your vehicle is beat up pretty bad. The next thing I want you to imagine is very simple. Picking up your phone and dialing 1-888-LANDERS to set up your repair. Deer claims are common, and usually a very simple process which fall under comprehensive coverage. This is Chase Landers asking you to allow Landers to be your collision repair shop of choice. Whether it be a deer hit, fender bender, or the regular, uh-oh, sorry mom, Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS, that's 1-888-LANDERS.
This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Wilt. I want to thank Mount Vernon and the surrounding area for continuing to support us over the past 5 years. If you have never sat down with someone to go over your insurance program, let me invite you into our office. Let us show you what working with the industry leader, represented by a local agent, can do for you. I'm located just off 42nd Street. You can reach our office 24 hours a day at 242-1421 or on the web at tonywilt.com. Thanks again, and go Rams.
Paradise City is a Saturday sports show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. Denny Zerwinski, Avery Barton in the studio. Jeff Crow and Chris Hugo en route to Carbondale for Lady Rams basketball here at 10 o'clock. And Mike Richardson on assignment. Mike Richardson will join me tonight at North Clay High School for the championship game of the Midland Trail Conference Tournament as the Woodlawn Cardinals go for 6 in a row and take on the Odin Eagles at 7 p.m. Pregame at 6:45. We'll follow Rams basketball against Effingham at 5 o'clock for third place at the Salem Invitational Tournament. Joining us now is a guy who has one of the winningest teams recently in the last 11 games here in Southern Illinois. Andy Sloan of the Benton Rangerettes joins us now. Coach Sloan, got to see you last night. Know how you're doing, but how are you doing this morning as you head into a makeup game with Murphy this afternoon?
Oh, pretty good. Ready to go, I guess, here in a few hours. Going to have a little walk through this morning and get on the bus and head over to Murfreesboro.
What? You're on an 11-game winning streak heading in, and you've been able to put some things together. Is there a thing or two you can peg that has gotten your team to play well and get on this streak in the last 11 games?
Well, maybe not one thing in particular, but we kind of struggled at our own Christmas tournament. We went 2-3, and coming out of that, we kind of got on a roll. I think we've played a few freshmen, maybe a little bit more, and then the older kids that maybe have lost a little bit of playing time kind of have learned their roles more and accepted those roles, and it seems like we're playing much more as a team. So throughout this winning streak, maybe that more than anything has got us where we are right now.
Your team, of course, battled and has battled this 11-game winning streak, like what they're doing. And, out of the Ohio Division, of course, you come out of the Rangerettes Classic into last week at Carterville. You had a very good week at Carterville. Talk about playing in that tournament. What did it do for your team bouncing out of that now in the stretch run to the postseason?
Well, I'll tell you what, with the weather the way it was earlier in the year and the makeup dates that we have on the back end of our schedule, there's not much time for rest and for preparation. And going to that Carterville tournament was kind of the same thing. We played 2 on that first Saturday. Then we turned around and played a conference game at Heron on Tuesday, went back to Carterville to play in the tournament on Wednesday, and then back on Saturday for 2 more. So the preparation time wasn't what we typically have. And, I think at this point in the season we have 7 games remaining and 8 practices. So it's going to be a lot of the same things. So, in terms of preparation, I think it kind of prepared us for not having a lot of time to get things in. And, you want to practice and use that hour and a half or whatever now that, that's kind of where we're at, trying to cut back, trying to save the legs down the stretch, and got to get things prepared and ready to go. And there's not a whole lot of time to do a lot of things, drill work that you typically do. You still have to get that in, make time for it, but maybe just not as much time each practice.
At this point in the year, you mentioned some freshmen playing. Is it a matter now they're just freshmen in name with as much time as they've been getting in these big games you've been winning down the stretch?
Hey, we don't want to throw them in the fire too quick, too early. But they play like they've been around a while now, and we start both of them, Allie Gisher and Michaela Abney, and we expect the same thing out of those kids as we do our juniors and seniors, and they really play well. There's times when they look like freshmen out there still, and they make the freshman mistakes, but they really helped us out and stepped up and accepted the challenges that we've placed in front of them, and it's a big step moving up from 8th grade to varsity, and they've done a good job.
Andy Sloan joins us, head coach of the Benton Ranger Reds here on the Saturday Sports Show. One of the unique things that your program gets to do, and I mention this a lot of times talking to people, some of the older gyms are going by the wayside, the newer schools being built. You get to play in the East Gym at Benton High School. Kids are kids, obviously, but do they understand the history and some of the players that have rattled through that gymnasium and played the game that they're playing on the same floor in the same facility that those guys and gals have?
Yeah, I don't think those girls probably understand that. They may think that Doug Collins and Bill Smith and all those guys, Steve Stewart, played in the and going even back farther than that, played in the big gym, which what we call it Rich Aaron Gym. Mm-hmm. But a lot of history down there. And I was talking to Coach Phelps the other day. That floor's pretty old and kind of getting worn down. And I said, "How long has that floor been there?" He said, "Since the school was built." So that had to be in the 50s. Mm-hmm. Something like that. So it's been there a long time, and we played almost all of our games down there. So I think it gives us a home court advantage for sure. Playing in there, it's a lot different, and it's not very big and not very fancy. Locker rooms aren't great, but it gives you an appreciation for what you do have. You other places, some places are maybe a little bit better. The facilities are a little bit nicer in some places, but we like to call that East Gym our home gym, and I think we play pretty well when we play there.
Game today, a makeup game in this long winning streak. You get to go to Murfreesboro and take on the Red Devils. And again, Ohio Division basketball, we saw Massac County last night. Second time this year, they battled back. Of course, how tough. Harrisburg's having a good team under Jake Stewart, and Heron, of course, is always a very good team. I mean, this is no easy task in and out in Ohio Division for some of our listeners. How tough is the Ohio Division year in and year out in girls basketball?
Well, I think it's right up there with any conference down here. This year, it's tougher than it was last year. You look at a team like Murfreesboro, who has struggled in the past. They're 15-9 right now. They hadn't won 11 games since 1983. So he's got those kids playing well, and he's turning that program around. West Frankfort is much better. They have one of the best freshmen in the South. They can beat you on any night. I think they were playing Cesar the other night in that tournament, and I think they were down 2 going to the fourth to a really good Cesar team. So, and then you've got Massac and Heron and Harrisburg, and those are all going to be 21 teams. And so, wherever you go, it doesn't matter if you're at home, but especially on the road, you have to be ready to play because you can get knocked off any night. You can't take a night off and just show up and play and win. It's not going to get it done in Ohio, and we've got to be ready to play every night.
Looking ahead to postseason, a DuQuoin regional, I believe, with all the Franklin County schools and DuQuoin. Is that pretty cool to have all the Franklin County schools kind of like have a end-of-the-year mini-tournament, not only for a regional plaque, but maybe that pride of being the best team in Franklin County when it's said and done?
Yeah, that would be kind of neat. We're looking forward to it. I don't know where the seeds are going to fall, and, to be quite honest, it doesn't matter a whole lot because to get where you want to get, you got to beat some pretty good teams anyway. But that will be fun. It's going to be over at DuQuoin, and I think they just built a new auxiliary gym when they built the school, and we got to play there last week, and just the other night, actually. And, it's a little bit of a smaller gym, probably holds, 1,200 or so. So I think that will be a good atmosphere for girls basketball regional. Obviously, the girls side, they don't get the crowd that the boys do, so sometimes you play a regional in a place like West Frankfort or Rich Aaron, it looks like there's 50 people in the stands. So I think at DuQuoin, the way they got that set up, it's going to make for a great atmosphere and a good week of basketball when that regional rolls around here in just a couple of weeks.
We wish you, of course, the best of luck here the rest of the way out. Before we let you go, of course, I didn't tell you last night when you were scouting. It's time for the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week, and this week's question is, what kind of weather do you want the Super Bowl to be played in next Sunday?
I hope it snows and sleets and the wind blows about 50 miles per hour. I'm glad I'm not going to be there.
I don't think I would be either if you're going to have weather like that. That's for certain. But
to put that Super Bowl there, I understand the reasonings behind it, I guess. But, you build a new stadium, they're going to give you a Super Bowl in a short period of time there. But, I've always thought of the Super Bowl to be played in warm weather. I think most people do. And if I were playing on one of those two teams, I would want to be in warm weather. But unfortunately, we're not going to have that this year, and we'll have to see what happens.
All right. Coach, thanks for joining us. We know you're busy today, getting ready to go to Murfreesboro. Good luck today. Good luck the rest of the season. We'll see you down the road.
Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate what you guys do. Always enjoy listening to you, and you guys always bring basketball to us at home or on the road or in the car, whatever, and we definitely appreciate what you do. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Andy. That's Andy Sloan, head coach of the Benton Rangerettes basketball team. They'll be at Murphy today. What we need to do right now for the day is take a break. We'll come back and have Mount Vernon Lady Rams head coach Jeff Lonin talk about his game last night against Massac and his game today against Collinsville. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be here on WMIX.
More Americans are on the move today than ever before. One of the most popular modes of transportation is the motorcycle. Motorcycles take us to our jobs, school, to the beach, and all around the country. If you're a bike rider, your Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crownview in Mount Vernon, wants to make sure you have the best insurance protection while you're riding. Ask about the money-saving auto cycle discount and the experienced driver discount, too. Call Page Insurance at 242-7000 today about motorcycle insurance from Pekin Insurance.
When you hear the warm, inviting sound of a crackling fire, what comes to mind? A rustic campground? A cozy cabin? How about the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center? Our new family lounges feature a lot of comforts you might not expect. Things like this. No, that's not a babbling brook or serene stream out in the countryside. It's a 2-story waterfall located right here at Good Samaritan. And that's not the only way we're raising the bar for patient comfort. We've added lush healing gardens, as well as wall after wall of beautiful artwork, all designed to create the perfect healing atmosphere. And if all this sounds like music to your ears, we encourage you to check us out. Chances are, we're not too far from where you are right now.
The new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. Raising a hospital, raising the bar.
High school sports are back, and your source for scores is WMIXsports.com. Also, find archived local sports broadcasts, video highlights, national sports headlines, and more right at your fingertips. Listen and watch live WMIX sports broadcasts from your desktop or any mobile device. Need a score? Want to see a sick dunk? Miss a game? Didn't get up in time for the Saturday sports show? That's right. It's all at WMIXsports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting. WMIXsports.com.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. Denny Swinski here. Hosting, Avery Barton pushing the buttons. Chris Hugo, Jeff Crow going to Carbondale. Mike Richardson away on assignment. Joining me now is the head coach of the Mount Vernon Lady Rams basketball team, Jeff Lonin. Coach, are you obviously got to be en route to Carbondale for that 10 a.m. game this early in the morning?
Yeah, we're passing the Steak and Shake on Highway 13 heading west, so we're probably about 15 minutes away from the Carbondale High School.
First thing I got to ask, Avery's over here, and he calls everybody, and he says, hey, Lonin. Kid's been out of high school maybe a New York minute, and he's already dropping surnames. He just said, hey, Lonin. What do we do?
Yeah. Well, the thing about Avery is Avery's always been like that. I mean, I think the first time he saw me as a freshman in high school, he probably called me my surname. And so there's I think it's not a disrespect thing with Avery. I think Avery's just a very personable guy, and I think he just feels like he can do that, and that's okay. But we don't allow everybody to do that. But Avery's good people, so we'll give him a pass.
I'll ask one final question on that topic. What is Avery's badminton record against you in PE at high school level?
I think I'm undefeated, right? I've beaten him every time.
It's 0 and a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, you're on your way down to Carbondale today for a game against Collinsville. First this week. First win on Monday against Mascoutah. Very good win, 51-33. You've had a tough one last night against Massac County. I mean, again, you've played Massac County about as close as anybody has this year without beating them. I mean, great effort, great team job last night. Just came up a little short in that one last night at Carbondale.
Yeah, those are really frustrating, aren't they? I mean, when you lose by 1 point, it doesn't matter who it's against. But, you just sit there and you think, I think that as a coach, you wonder, what you could have done just to get, one more basket throughout the game, and it just eats at you and eats at you and eats at you. And, at some point you just got to put it away and realize, we're all in this together. And I, as a coach, certainly sit there and beat myself up for not finding somehow, some way to find another basket somewhere. And then I'm sure the kids who, played and missed a bunny here, or a little short jump shot there, or a free throw here or there, or missed the box off and they got the ball and laid it back in. I mean, just one play that goes different that game, and you're basically looking at a tournament championship playing this morning. So with this Collinsville game coming up, so it's maddening, but that's just the nature of the business, and you can't dwell on these things. You got to let them go because there's a lot more to come, and you just gotta free your mind up and go on.
You look at freeing your mind up, and your game got over with a little around 8 o'clock last night. Had to jump on the bus ride home. Now you're back in there in about 10 minutes. You're going to be at Carbondale. Quick turnaround, tough loss. Mindset, worries, concerns coming into the game today as far as being focused, ready to go at 10 a.m.?
Yeah. Well, I think anytime you play a 10 a.m. game, no matter where it's at, you have concerns about being your best and being awake and being, as sharp as you're going to be. My experience, not just with our own team, but just with teams in general, is, anytime you play a morning game, it's probably, you're probably going to have some mistakes made, and you're probably not going to be quite as sharp as you would be for a prime time 7:30 game somewhere. But that's going to go for both teams. It's going to be Collinsville, it's going to be us, I think, and I think that it's the team we could beat, and the kids know that, and I think that we're kind of going into this lose one, win one, lose one, win one thing. We're starting to get into now. We got beat last night, and we won before that, then we lost before that, and then we won 3 before that. So we'd like to get back on one of those 3 or 4 game winning streaks again, because we're in a really, really tough part of our schedule right now. I mean, it's this. Coach Bolt and I looked at this as the toughest part of our schedule we've had in a few years, because we're in this tournament. We play 3 good opponents, and then we got to play Highland and Althoff coming up next week. So we're just in the midst of a very, very difficult part of our schedule. This is a game this morning that we can compete in and we can get a victory. So it's important that we do that, because we do have a really super Highland team coming up on Tuesday. And then, of course, that good Althoff team comes Thursday.
I'm looking at your team, and I think last night, as this season has gone on lately, and other times, I'm seeing some players step up coming off the bench and or starting, figuring out many more ways to help this team. Is that what you're seeing out of your team right now at this point in the season?
Yeah, we're just awfully young on the bench, and that wasn't the Achilles heel for us going into this year. And we were young last year, and I think that as time has gone on, I'm trying to use the bench a little bit more. We used 8 kids last night as opposed to 6, which I normally use. We used Colleen Stovall last night, who's a senior, who's over there, and I thought she did a really good job whenever we got foul trouble and came in and replaced the Kaya Rush at the 3 spot. And didn't make any mistakes whatsoever. I thought she did a really good job. And, we've got to get Peyton to shoot the ball more. That's one thing we're constantly on her about. Peyton Hayes is a really good little shooter. She really is. She works on her. And her father spent a lot of time with her, and as well as Peyton works on her own. And Peyton is a good perimeter shooter. We just got to get her confidence going with the ball with the board. But she does a good job when she goes in there. She's still getting her feet wet. And then, Marion comes in, gets 6 points. And Marion's always done a solid job for us, Marion Hester. And, Jasmine Hawkins is over there. She didn't get in last night, but Jasmine's a good little player. And Jasmine, again, just getting her feet wet. But, that's a kid that I'm going to try to get in the game a little bit more down the stretch and get her a little more experience next year, so she's going to definitely play into it.
Jeff Lana, head coach of Lady Rams, joins us. From here next week and the rest of the way, your schedule toughens up considerably, as you mentioned. I mean, talk about some of the games you have coming up on your schedule.
Well, Highland's really good, and we play this Tuesday night, and they play a very, very, very competitive schedule over in that metro area, and this is a game that we have that's stretched us to the max every time we play them. And this is going to be a very, very taxing game for us, and there's no question that the Althoff team that we played at, Althoff, definitely probably feels like they got our number now after we did manage to beat them over there, but they forced us into way too many turnovers with their press. So I would anticipate an Althoff team coming in with a different game plan, a more aggressive, defensive game plan, full forward. We're going to have to figure out a better way to get through without turning the ball over so much. And then we go to Mattoon on Saturday, and we don't know a whole lot about them, but honestly, I'm not thinking that far ahead because the game this morning and these next two, Althoff especially, when you look at it, it's a conference game, and we are, if we win out in the conference, we're at least co-conference champions, Danny. So I think you strip away this tournament, whatever happens here this morning, you strip away Highland and Mattoon and on down the road next week, the Aaron game, strip away all those non-conference games. And there's 4 games stuck in there with Cahokia, Centralia, Althoff, and Marion that if we take care of business, we're South 7 conference champs again. And, I think right now in the kind of back of our minds, that's really our number one goal, and then we'll go from there and then focus on that regional. And in the meantime, it's non-conference games, tournament games, we're just going to try to do the best we can. And, hopefully we can pick up a few more wins, but they're certainly hard games for us to play.
Final question for you. I know you're busy today. You got a game to coach, and you also have a game to do on radio tonight in Salem. As our question of, what kind of weather do you want the Super Bowl to be played in next week?
That's a very good question. I was listening to Matt yesterday on the Sirius satellite radio, and that's the first question they asked Matt was, about the weather, and Madden was very critical of the fact that they, I guess they're having a winter snowstorm out there right now, and things are pretty bad. And they get this kind of weather next week with 80,000 people coming into that stadium. It's going to present some problems, with the roads conditions and the temperatures and to that nature. And I think Madden was very critical of the fact that everybody in the NFL executive department is surprised that, they're facing this situation because, on the East Coast in February, this is just par for the course. So, I hope that the weather out there, honestly, is at least playable and safe for the fans to get there, for the players to play the game correctly. It's very possible when you get a weather game, and I can tell you this just from simply coaching high school football. When you get a game where weather is involved, sometimes, a team that maybe not isn't the best team can win just based on, weather forced mistakes from the other team. And I want to see good conditions so both of those teams can showcase their talent and not have a bad bounce of the ball here or there due to, sub-freezing temperatures, a hard field, things of that nature. I want to see, something in the 32-degree range or higher, and something where, Peyton can throw that ball like he can throw it, and Russell Wilson can run it like he can run it, and this Richard Sherman guy, I'm curious to see what he does too. He's made quite a name for himself. So my short answer, that's my long answer. My long answer is I hope the weather is playable and just
Okay. Hey, that's a good idea. Because, see, I'm on the opposite end. I want snow, storms, blowing wind, everything. I want it all. If they want it outside in this environment, they should get what they deserve.
Well, they're certainly going to get it, I think. And I think that, as Madden said yesterday, I think they'll look long and hard at where they schedule these things in if, indeed, they get another big storm out there next week right before the Super Bowl. But I understand where you're coming from. I know it's fun to watch and try to play in those conditions. I think for a regular season game or something like that, absolutely. I think that's a blast to watch. And I think in the biggest football game in the world, which is the Super Bowl, I like to see the conditions right. So, the true team that is better wins. And there's nothing that the weather is doing to, maybe aid a team that's not good.
Coach, thanks for joining us this morning. You're getting ready to get off the bus to play Collinsville. Good luck this morning, and call us tonight when you work the boys' game at Salem with Chris Hugo.
I'm gonna need more luck tonight than probably this morning, hopefully.
I hear you. Thanks. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, thanks for joining us, Coach.
Okay, hey, thanks for calling, Danny.
All right, Jeff Lyon, head coach of the Mount Vernon Lady Rams. We got to get a break, come back. Woodlawn head boys basketball coach Shane Witzel joins us. Talk about Cardinal basketball in the Midland Trail Conference Tournament Championship tonight versus Odin. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Too expensive to get back into shape? Not anymore. Rend Lake College's new fitness center is only $53 per semester. They've also thought of everything with universal machines, free weights, treadmills with dedicated TV screens, ellipticals, and more. Qualified dance instructors are also available. Or go at your own pace with DVDs that can be used in the exercise room. Best of all, it's open 7 days a week. Check out the Rend Lake College Fitness Center in the Marketplace off Potomac Boulevard in Mount Vernon. Or log on to rendlakecollege.edu/Fit Center.
From Paducah to Peoria, Evansville to St. Louis, this is AM 940 WMIX Mount Vernon. The free service from Withers Broadcasting.
The Medicine Shop Pharmacy offers convenience and great service, all for the same cost. Our pharmacy staff is so helpful. They're always ready to answer any questions you may have. You'll never wait hours for your prescription. We'll get you in and out in just minutes. Or, for added convenience, use one of our 2 drive-through windows. For those folks who prefer to stay home, our delivery service will bring the medications to your front door or your workplace. Here's pharmacist and pharmacy owner Eric Black to tell you more.
Home delivery does make us stand out from the crowd. Independents like the Medicine Shop offer home delivery. People find that so convenient, and not just seniors, but also busy professionals. Delivery to work or to their home once they get home in the evenings is just a service that sets us apart from our competition, absolutely.
It's so easy to transfer your prescriptions. All it takes is a phone call from you, and we'll take care of the rest. The Medicine Shop Pharmacy accepts Medco, TRICARE, Express Scripts, and many other 90-day plans. The Medicine Shop, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
I'm Jeremy Pearson with a look at your next rad weather. We'll see a flurry or two early. Otherwise, clouds will give way to some sunshine. It'll be breezy today. Temperatures will fall into and through the 20s. Partly cloudy and quite cold tonight, low 14. Breezy and not as cold tomorrow with a blend of clouds and sunshine, high 46. And Monday is looking mostly sunny, breezy, and much colder, high 12. But wind chills will stay well below 0 all day. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. Hour number 2 of this Saturday Sports Show. Denny Zerwinski with Avery Barton in studio as Jeff Crow and Chris Hugo head to Carbondale for Lady Rams basketball. Joining us now is the head coach of the Woodlawn Cardinals boys basketball team, Shane Witzel. Coach, how are you this morning on this cold January day?
I'm good. How about you guys?
I'm doing very well, and you got to be doing very well this week. Wins over Sandoval, and, of course, the tough one for about 3/4 of the game the other night against Waltonville. I think, from my perspective, to Sandoval team, it's a lot better, and then a Waltonville team, obviously a rivalry game, was a very tight contest for a long time. Your team got tested this week in a couple different ways, did they not?
Yeah, I think most definitely. With the Sandoval game. They're improved from what they have. They have a few players in there, and we just really didn't like our overall intensity for the game and effort. And I think we played just hard enough to win, and we've tried to impress upon our guys that
it's a continual effort, and you get an opportunity to get better, whether it's practice or a game. And that was an opportunity we felt like we let slip away. But to their credit, whenever we would make a run, that their kids kept battling back and making shots. And you know, overall, we didn't like the effort and intensity, but it's a win, and you move on to the next game. And it's a different story Thursday night, and you wouldn't expect much different to get a bounce-back game and playing against Waltonville. And you know, we wanted to create quite a bit of intensity, and if you're going to press, we don't zone press a ton, but if you're going to press, you have to be ready to do that right off the get-go. And we were trying to create a more up-tempo game and see if we can get them to handle the ball a little bit and get some of our length and get some traps and get some baskets off of our press and get some things going offensively, because they're very patient in their half-court sets, and they run some time off the clock. And the more possessions we could get, the better off we would be in that particular game.
And that particular game got you to the final. Of course, this Midland Trail Tournament, Woodlawn and we at WMIX have been involved in it for 6 years. So many different changes with teams in, teams out, brackets, the way things are set up. In 6 years, this tournament has evolved into this tonight. Changes over the years, what's gotten to you, what's kind of surprised you about how this tournament's gone over the last 6 years?
Not really. Those are all things you can't control. The idea is whenever you set up your schedule and of course you have no control over your conference schedule, is to use that as a springboard to test your team and challenge your team and learn about yourself, and that's the opportunity we have here tonight. And we've been fortunate; we've been in these championship games, and you try to put yourself in that kind of environment because it's hard to experience that or simulate any of that kind of experience, so you know how you're going to deal with that when you get in those situations, hopefully later in the season and the postseason. So I can't say there's really been much of a way of surprise. The brackets, the setup's been basically the same. Location's been the same. It's the only conference tournament we have that doesn't travel or move to different locations. So Louisville's got a nice facility. It's just not that it's a terrible drive. It's an hour up there on the bus, but it'd be nice if it actually moved around from location to location. But I understand the history and the conference and that conference tournament in particular.
Speaking of that conference tournament in particular, as you mentioned, it's been around for a while. I think the second oldest conference in the state of Illinois right now, and this tournament goes on. Your team, as you mentioned the word fortunate, 6 years in a row. I mean, I don't care if it's 1A to 4A, college to pro. It's an amazing feat, because to get to this title game, what has been maybe the one thing that has allowed your team to be on such a run in this tournament over the last 6 years?
I would probably say talent. You have to have quality players, but if I had to narrow it down to one thing, that would be it. But the recipe's been pretty similar for the teams we've had in the past. And talent alone will not win basketball games. You have to be a good teammate. So if I could piggyback on a 1A and 1B, that would be it. Being a good teammate would be a big factor. And when you get a team that's working together and on the same page and has talent, you have a chance to be successful.
Shane Witzel, the Woodlawn boys basketball coach. They play Odin tonight in the championship game, 7 o'clock here on WMIX. What are some of the things that your team will have to do tonight to get a win against the Odin Eagles?
Well, we played them earlier in the year, and they will basically do things very similar to what they're going to do, and they're going to press you 2-2-1 and play some zone, and a lot of their offense is dictated off of their zone press. So we have to be able to handle their press, and at the same time, we want to take advantage of that and try to get some layups and see if we can't get some easy baskets off of that. But you can't allow them to turn you over and get steals and get easy baskets. And that's how they feed off of that, and that's how they get some easy scores. And defensively, if we can control their penetration, which we've had some issues with this year, because they are very dribble drive oriented, and they like to dribble, kick, and shoot. They shoot quite a few threes, and out of that's going to be some long rebounds. But so we have to control some of that. Offensively, we need to be able to attack their zone and try to get to the interior of their defense to get some easy scores. And sooner or later, we're going to start hitting some outside shots to kind of open some things up as well.
Final question.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. You finish.
Yeah, all of those will be factors in tonight's game.
All right. Those factors, of course, will bring us to our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And this week's question is, what kind of weather do you want the Super Bowl to be played in next week?
Well, it's the biggest game that football has to offer on the biggest stage. So ideally, you would want the weather to be a factor in the game. But from a fan standpoint, and I'm not really a big football fan much at all, you'd like to see something historic, meaning some snow, maybe some cold weather, maybe some wind. It make it something that's actually memorable, and I think potentially that's partly what the NFL was going for. They had to know, and I know they knew that weather would be a factor to hold this game at this time of year in that part of the country. So I'm sure that's been well anticipated in advance, and I think that's part of the idea is to capture some of the history of the NFL. And so I think that's what you're going for, and maybe you'll get some of that. But from a player standpoint, you'd hate for the weather to be a factor in the game at all, but I'd like to see it be a factor. So maybe some snow, some wind, and some cold, and get a little bit of all that. And those people that are paying $2,000 for tickets, they can probably bundle up and find some warm clothes to wear for that game. But they can get their money's worth that way.
Coach, thanks for joining us this morning. We'll see you tonight at North Clay when you take on Noden at a championship game. Thanks for joining us, and good luck tonight.
All right, and thanks. Hey, one other thing.
Yeah.
I hear that Godell's gonna sit outside with the fans as well. That's nice.
I heard that. But again, is he going to be sitting out with all the fans? Is he going to be sitting out with a heater? Well, we're sitting outside. I mean, he can run back in and warm up when the camera's not on him.
Well, that's true. That is a good point.
Yeah, well, it'll be fun to see where he's at. That's a good point you bring up. Good job. Hey, we'll see you tonight. We'll have the game on FM for you, and we'll be there, of course, to broadcast it. Good luck tonight to that game.
All right, well, maybe get some pizza delivered to you.
Hey, we'll do that. I may buy tonight. Might be my turn. Who knows?
All right, good.
All right. Thank you. That's Shane Witzel, head coach of the Woodlawn Boys basketball team. We got to take a break and come back with Greg Hale, the executive director of the SIJSSAA. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, president of Community First Bank. By now you have heard about our new One Checking product. The new One Account is a high interest earning, free checking account designed for everyone. Unlike other banks that pay interest on higher balance, this account pays interest on all balances. From high schoolers to Warren Buffett, One will work for you. You can talk to one of us at 244-3000 and learn about the details. One, exclusively at Community First Bank. You will be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. Danny Zerwinski here, and joining us now on the line, a very busy man over the next few weeks, and especially today, the executive director of the Southern Illinois Junior High School Athletic Association, Greg Hale, joins us this morning. And Mr. Hale, how busy are you today? Oh, you don't have that there. You threw me off, Avery. Well, how about that? Got it now? He's checking. While he's checking, we'll tell you, we're ready to go. Greg Hale, are you there on the line?
Yes, I am.
Hey, how busy are you today right now with state tournament action going on at Wren Lake?
We're getting ready to start a 9:30 Class L quarterfinal game, but we had 4 games last night with Class M, so just beginning to get pretty busy.
It always amazes me at Wren Lake, obviously, how loud it gets, no matter what, boys or girls, but amazing how all the teams bring their fans and everybody gets behind it. A great atmosphere. It's got to make you happy to see the number of people coming in and supporting these teams, both boys and girls, at Wren Lake over the next few weeks.
Yeah, we've had all our Class M schools come in last night, and it was, we had pretty nice crowds, and we had a lot of high school boys basketball games going on. Most feature some of their fans, but a lot of kids in junior high. This is not everybody plays in high school, and this is it's a pride memory for some of them that they'll never forget.
As a director, and when you took this job a few years ago, what's one thing that's jumped out at you running this state tournament at Wren Lake, both boys and girls, that you didn't know when you got into it?
Well, I was really involved in boys basketball since my son grew up and both went to a small school in Tingeyville, so I was more, open to all the boys' events. But girls basketball has become a pretty, large event in our association right now with 3 classes, and there's more interest all the time in girls basketball. But I wasn't really aware of the girls side of it. But after I have been exposed to it a little bit, our Jim Burns spent about 3 weeks over here every night except for a Wednesday and a Sunday, and it gets to be a long haul, but it's well worth it, and it's great for kids.
You look at it gets to be for the kids, and you've had sons playing this, you've coached in it, you've seen it grow over the years. And I think one thing is the expansion, and I call the expansion of the association. You're starting to get more teams farther away, more towards the Metro East that's going in. How has that changed the competition level of this as far as state tournaments go?
Well, we take the top 32 teams that enter in basketball as being Class L, and the next 32 as far as enrollment goes in Class M. And we're in the midst of talking with some metro schools right now, and it really deals with how many games you can play. They have no restrictions, and we're probably going to increase our number of games to accommodate some of these schools. And it looks like we're probably going to have some more metro schools come in, but the attraction for us versus maybe the other association up north of us is that we allow K through 8 participation, where the IESA is a 7th and 8th grade only organization. So we do have. If you come to our Class S boys and girls tournaments both, you'll see some 5th graders and 6th graders playing. So that's a little bit of difference between our association and the other. But we are increasing some metro area association, and also we've added a couple sports like bowling. In the last 10 or 15 years, we had cross country. So it's there's a lot of things that attract different schools to our association. But we are still growing. You think with the situation in Illinois with schools and funding, I thought it might have more of a drastic effect on us. But I've not seen any basic loss of teams because of the budget and with the state of Illinois or any cuts by schools right now.
Class S go today, along with L. Of course, L goes first, then SM last night, and it'll go through next week, and state championships divvied out. Then the boys come in the next week, a week and a half with SM and L. That to me, I know there's be a big girls crowd, but boy, when the boys tournament gets going down to the semis and the finals, it's just a continuous mass people goes down to Red Lake College to watch the games there.
Yeah, it's kind of a culmination of the year, and I know our girls has grown as far as attendance goes. And after this next Saturday, when our girls tournament ends, I will have about 3 days or 3 or 4 days off. But that following Friday, our Class M boys comes in on Friday night, and then we come back with a full day on February 1st of full day of Class S boys. We've expanded a number of years ago to 16 regionals because of the number of schools, and that one right there is probably the granddaddy of all of our tournaments, our Class S schools, because that's the small schools that, a lot of towns, that's the big thing. Their sports at their high schools and their grade schools, and there's a lot of tradition and honor with a lot of these small schools. But they'll all be in here on Saturday, and that's probably the biggest day as far as traffic in and out and the seeing people that you haven't seen probably in a long time from different areas, just following their schools as they come in. And then we come in with the following Monday, we'll do Elite 8 for Class M, and then we come back with Elite 8 for Class S, and then Tuesday the M comes back in after that, and so on. And then our L starts the following Saturday when we finish with Class S.
Busy week, busy time, and a very busy day for you. We'll get to our final question, and it's our social media question of the week. And this week's question is, what kind of weather do you want the Super Bowl to be played in next Sunday?
Really warm weather.
Okay.
I've had enough cold weather to last me for a long. I'm a big hunter, so this real cold weather hasn't been agreeable with me. But I would hope for all the fans that we have some warm weather. I'm not really a cold weather football person, but be more enjoyable for the players and the people watching.
Hey, we know I'm kind of in the snow category, but hey, I'd want good weather around here so everybody get to Rend Lake College support these junior high teams. Mr. Hale, thanks for joining us this morning, and get busy. We know you'll be busy, and thanks for taking time in your day to join us here on the Saturday Sports Show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having a little section about our association on your program.
No problem. We enjoy it every year. That's Greg Hale, the Executive Director of the Southern Illinois Junior High School Athletic Association. Take a break, come back. Sports Director at WSIL TV3 in Craneville, Darren Kennard, joins us next on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
High school sports are back, and your source for scores is WMIXsports.com. Also, find archived local sports broadcasts, video highlights, national sports headlines, and more right at your fingertips. Listen and watch live WMIX sports broadcasts from your desktop or any mobile device. Need a score? Want to see a sick dunk? Miss a game? Didn't get up in time for the Saturday Sports Show? That's right, it's all at WMIXsports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting, WMIXsports.com.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. Imagine this. You're driving down the road. It's dark as can be outside. Thank goodness you just had that left headlight bulb replaced. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see a thing. Now, close your eyes. Okay, don't close your eyes. You're supposed to be driving. Imagine noticing a slight twinkle off to the left, just above the ditch. What is that, you think to yourself? All of a sudden, whap! You've just encountered your first deer hit. The left side of your vehicle is beat up pretty bad. The next thing I want you to imagine is very simple. Picking up your phone and dialing 1-888-LANDERS to set up your repair. Deer claims are common, and usually a very simple process which fall under comprehensive coverage. This is Chase Landers asking you to allow Landers to be your collision repair shop of choice. Whether it be a deer hit, fender bender, or the regular, uh-oh, sorry mom, Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Community hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. On the horn now, joining us, a guy that's been very busy all week as we have with sports, is the sports director at Channel 3, Darren Kennard. Mr. Kennard, how are you this morning?
Hello?
Hey, Mr. Kennard, how are you this morning? Hello?
Well, I'm doing okay on the road this morning. How about yourself?
I'm good. Where are you on the road to this morning?
Well, actually, we're headed to Peoria. My daughter's made the All-State band, and so they have a big concert there at the Civic Center today, so I guess you're going to take in some great music this morning.
Well, not a problem with that. Civic Center will be hopping here about a month with March Madness. First thing is, compliment you on your coverage last night on Sports Extra. You covered games from Salem, Metropolis, boys to girls, everything else. How big of a production is that to get all those games in and on and highlights for everybody to see on TV?
Well, it's last night it works out well because we're all in can pick up multiple games in the same spot. So we were actually, last night was kind of a record for us. We got 14 games, but it was nice because we were able to get multiple games from multiple spots like that. So it worked out great. But it is a big challenge. Of course, everybody thinks that their team should be going all the time. Or that certain things should be covered more, and that's just the balance that we have to try to deal with and come up with a happy medium, I guess. Understanding that we're not going to make everybody happy, but we have to try to cover what we feel like people, the most amount of people, will see.
I look at this, speaking of making happy, there's been so many rumors, so many happenings conference-wise as far as who's going where, who's not, who's staying, who's wanting to join up. What kind of muddled mess can you make of this, or at least just the definition of what's going on as far as what you see conference-wise in Southern Illinois going on right now?
Well, I think that the potential is there for great change, but there's also the potential for just a small little step to the side, and so that's where there's a couple of schools that kind of hold all the cards, so to speak, and it's interesting the stories that it really depends upon who you talk to as far as where that stands. And 6 weeks ago, the thought process was is if Alvarado ended up going with DeCoin, then it was pretty much going to be a lock that Sparta would move to the Black Diamond, and then more cards would fall. With the, what does the River to River do at that point? Do they add somebody? Do they subtract somebody? I mean, just all sorts of different angles there, and now what seemed like a slam dunk. The first part of that happened with Alvarado and DeCoin with the co-op, but then the more I hear it, it doesn't sound like Sparta is going to try to make that move, and if that doesn't happen, well, now the Black Diamond has a choice to make, and so do you keep it a closed conference with football? Because the options to add another team there would be limited. And then, with some of the teams that you hear talked about as a potential ad, then that would upset the apple cart with other teams that are already in the league. And so you may end up back in that spot where you only have 9 football teams anyway. So it will be an interesting couple of months, that's to be sure.
Hey, and you look at this, and I think conferences, a lot of people kind of have that closed look. They don't think it's going to affect this team, this conference, this tournament. Here we are in this time of year. I for one, see this. All these conference moves that may or may not happen are going to affect all these tournaments that we have, and there's way too many of them. Don't you see that as being an issue if all these teams change conferences and then try to jump in these tournaments?
Well, I think that the number of tournaments. I mean, that's a whole other topic. And I'm going through the hinterland of cell phone service, so I missed part of the question. I'm taking it you mean how this would affect these midwinter tournaments.
Yeah, right. I mean, obviously, it's going to change things on as far as who goes where and who plays who and what, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you saw a little bit of that this year before there even was the conference changes. And to me, there's just too many tournaments, and I know it's going to be hard to figure out which ones would ideally need to go. But I think that it would be awesome if there was a river to river tournament like they do in volleyball. It'd be nice to have a conference tournament in some of these other, the Black Diamond's got, divisions on both sides. It would be nice to see something like that. But yeah, you're right. It's certainly going to change the landscape of who's going to end up where, and and also how they end up playing.
If you could be the director and fix one thing to try to solve all these problems, what is one thing you would like to see done to kind of solve all this shuffling around and conference talk and everything else? What's one thing you would do?
I think that, you have to look at it from, also from the school district's point of view. And I think that you're going to have to see some changes made in not just the competition and the level of that, but you're also going to have to see smarter decisions made where it comes to travel, and that's the thing that with some of the possibilities that you hear rumors about, the travel just is just a nightmare, especially when you consider, for example, in football, if you're going, say, for example, this year Carterville played Salem. On a Thursday night, the freshmen are playing in Carterville. Friday night, the varsity's playing in Salem. And then on Monday, the sophomores or the JVs are back in Carterville. And that just seems silly in my book. There's going to have to be some smarter use of resources and some consolidation of things. And the lower levels may not look like what we're used to seeing. But also I think that you have to look at also these tournaments, especially that that's kind of a with me, it's kind of a sore point. It's just there's too many tournaments, and when you have the glut of the early season tournaments where you end up having 5 games in a week that very first week, and you think about all the travel and the things that are involved from the school standpoint. I just think that's unnecessary and probably something that they'll need to eventually address and go back to the old days where you were only allowed to have 3 tournaments, and that included like the postseason.
Final question for you. We know you're driving along to Peoria where it's nice and 75 degrees. Our final question to you is our social media question of the week, and that is, what kind of weather do you want the Super Bowl to be played in next Sunday?
Well, I think it would be fitting if it was played in the snow, in the blustery. I think that as a fan, I'd rather weather not be a factor, because when you have the best offense taking on the best defense, just let them go and just let's see who can win it. I think that the hubbub that was made about it being in New York, and initially when it was kind of poo-pooed by the league, and it would serve them right if they end up with about 8 inches of snow, on that Friday or Saturday heading into the Super Bowl, and then just the mess that would end up causing. But as a football fan, I'd rather see weather not be a factor.
Hey, there you go. Speaking of that, be safe today driving to Peoria. Congratulations to your daughter on making that state band thing today in Peoria, and good luck, and we'll catch with you down the road as we go along in sports.
Sounds good. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you. That's Darren Kennard, the sports director at Channel 3. We'll take a break, come back with a color commentator from Mount Carmel basketball, our sister station, Wing FM in Mount Carmel, Jason White. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
I'm Jeremy Pearson with a look at your next rad weather. We'll see a flurry or two early. Otherwise, clouds will give way to some sunshine. It'll be breezy today. Temperatures will fall into and through the 20s. Partly cloudy and quite cold tonight, low 14. Breezy and not as cold tomorrow with a blend of clouds and sunshine, high 46. And Monday is looking mostly sunny, breezy, and much colder, high 12. But wind chills will stay well below 0 all day. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. Joining us on the line now, a guy that gets to see a lot of good basketball over in the Wabash Valley area on our sister station, Wing FM. Color commentator for Mount Carmel basketball, both boys and girls high school level, Jason White joins us now. Jason, how are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm awesome, DC. It's great to be with you.
Hey, good to be here. As Chris Hugo and Jeff Crow Wade are getting ready for in Carbondale for Lady Rams basketball at 10 a.m. on right here on AM. Question I got to ask you: the Carmi Invitational was really supposed to be a Harrisburg walkthrough again this year. Something happened. Mount Carmel said not so fast. They could win the championship.
Yeah, they really did. When Mount Carmel came out in that opening game on Monday night against Harrisburg, I mean, I was in the same boat you were. I think a lot of people are, that Harrisburg was just going to come in. And when you see Harrisburg take the floor, they've got so many athletes they throw out there every single night. And it was kind of a high-scoring up-and-down the floor ball game. Mount Carmel ends up winning that 85-80. But what we didn't realize is that wasn't going to be the first time in this tournament that Harrisburg would stub their toe.
Harrisburg had kind of been down, but I want to get the focus back on the team you cover is Mount Carmel, obviously known for football, but in the last 5 to 10 years, basketball has picked up here and there as well. It's a very good Mount Carmel team that people have got to keep an eye on more towards postseason.
Well, I'll tell you what, DC, they're definitely not going to surprise some people this year as we head closer to postseason because when you think about last year, I don't think anybody really expected Mount Carmel to end up coming out of that Hamilton County Regional. They go in there, they beat Fairfield, they go in there, they beat Flora, and then all of a sudden, boom, this Mount Carmel Golden Aces team is on the precipice of being in a sectional, and obviously that game against Greenville didn't go the way they wanted it to, but it sort of set the tone for this season, and head coach Tyler Buss just absolutely has these boys humming along right now, and they're a fun team to watch. You know, Bob Bowser and I get to call the games on 94.9 Wing FM, and it's just been a blast, and right now they're wreaking havoc in this Carmi-White County tournament.
I look at Mount Carmel, and you guys have been playing very well, and, of course, over there you play in the Big 8 in Indiana, a lot of bigger schools to deal with, plus the big tournament at Christmas. Talk about the tournament and the name of it that Mount Carmel plays in every year.
Can you say that again? You cut out, BC. I'm sorry.
I was talking about Mount Carmel and their Christmas tournament. Talk about that tournament and all the teams that Mount Carmel has to battle at that Christmas tournament, because I think that's the one that really gets Mount Carmel ready for the postseason.
Well, it really does. And when you're talking about Mount Carmel and the schedule they play, you talk about the Christmas tournament, you talk about, when you're talking about this Carmi-White County Invitational, just the regular season schedule alone, as a Big 8 conference school over in Indiana, Mount Carmel by far has the smallest enrollment of all these Big 8 conference schools. So up and down, I would say the schedule in its totality gets them ready for tournament play, and I really think we're starting to see that play out as they get further and further into the season.
Well, Mount Carmel's getting better. Now we'll switch basketballs, and we'll go to the girls' side. There's a lot of hype, a lot of note about Tyra Buss. Over 4,000 points. She goes something like 47 last night again. I mean, it's pretty easy for her right now. Of all the players you've seen, and I guess you can throw boys and girls together in this slot, Tyra Buss, how good is she?
Well, you know, I get asked that question a lot, and Bob and I have to answer that question a lot. And I will say without hesitation that she is the best girls basketball player I've ever seen. I think that when you're talking about Brittany Johnson at Olney, I think she was a different type of player, and she brought a little more of a physical game to the table, you know, just based on size alone. But, you know, always if you're talking about your Mount Rushmore of girls basketball players, you're talking about Candace Parker, you're talking about Brittany Johnson. If you're talking about sheer scoring, you could throw in a Cassie Drew from Anna Jonesboro, you could throw in Mandy Cunningham from Red Hill in the late 80s. But I say without hesitation, and Bob and I have had an opportunity to see her play night in and night out, and we're talking about not just maybe a once-in-a-generation player, but a once-in-a-lifetime player. The numbers she puts up are ridiculous, but the way she gets it done with just amazing ball handling skills, unlimited range from behind the three-point arc, and her ability to get to the basket, draw contact, get to the free throw line. Obviously, you know, she's made more free throws than any player in history. I rank her number one, DC. I know that's up for debate for a lot of people, but that's what makes it so fun.
She gets all the people around her. I got to ask, you know, she's getting a lot of attention social media, internet-wise. How does she handle that, going game to game, knowing she's the one everybody's wanting to watch?
Well, that's a great question, DC, and I think I don't think you could find a young person that could handle it any better than she does. I mean, you never see any antics from her on the floor. You can never really tell if it's a pressure moment or if it's a big game or if when she's having an off shooting night, and she's had a couple of those of late. You just never see any change in the mental approach she takes on the floor night in and night out. And you know every night that she comes on the floor, she's getting all these frustrating junk defenses thrown at her, and then after the game, she's spent, she's given everything she's got, and then she'll still spend half hour, 45 minutes after every game, you know, signing autographs and basketball for all the little girls that show up and worship her, you know, to come and watch her play on the basketball floor. So I think she's top-notch all the way around in the classroom, on the basketball floor, and off the court.
Final question for you as we're wrapping it up before the Lady Rams come on here on AM is our social media question of the week, and this week's question is, what kind of weather do you want the Super Bowl to be played in next week?
Oh, I always want sunny and 70. I'm from the school of thought that I want that baby played in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena or give me Tempe, Arizona, but sunny and 70 is what I want. But if I know you, DC, you probably want a polar vortex to drop directly on that stadium on Super Bowl Sunday just to show them for even scheduling this.
Well, yes, because I don't want that back because there's people that'll be cold there. But I'm like this: if my team's not in it, I don't care. Let's make it weather. And if you're going to put it in New York outside in February, you're going to get what you're asked for, hopefully from snow and wind. That's the way I look at it.
I hear you. I wish our team was in it, DC.
I do too. I'm getting tired. It's 18 years. There's people going to graduate high school this year, haven't even seen the Cowboys in a Super Bowl. That's how sad that is. Have we lost him? No. He went away. That was Jason White, who is the color commentator for our sister station, Wing FM. 94.9. He gets to follow. Just dropped him. Welcome to technology. As we wrap up the last couple of minutes, we thank all of our guests this morning. Scott Gamber, Andy Sloan, Jeff Lynon, Shane Witzel, Greg Hale, Darren Kennard, Jason White, all joining us today here as we're a couple minutes out. And, of course, Lady Rams basketball will follow here in the next couple minutes here on AM 940 WMIX. Of course, that game will tip off pregame with Chris Hugo at 9:45. Then at 4:45 this afternoon on FM, and you can listen to it online, WMIXsports.com, the pregame for the Mount Vernon Rams and the Effingham Flaming Hearts at 4:45. And then the third-place game will begin at 5 o'clock from the Salem Invitational Tournament. And then tonight on the FM, as soon as the Rams are done at Salem, it'll be the pregame at 6:45. Mike Richardson and I will be on the call, the Woodlawn Cardinals and the Odin Eagles in the Midland Trail Conference Championship game. That tournament at North Clay High School will start at 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock on the FM. Listen to it online at WMIXsports.com. Avery Barton's finishing the Hicks. What do we got going on here? All right, ready? Who we got? Looking. Who? Jason's on the line again. Do we lose? No? Hugo's on the line. Or Chris Hugo's on the line. They swapped me. Chris, what are you doing down there? No. Well, you got to tell me something. Okay, we're all messed up here. We're ready to go. Okay, Chris Hugo's not on the line. I misread that. So we need to wrap it up because we got Lady Rams basketball coming up next. For Avery Barton, I'm Danny Zerwinski signing off for the Saturday Sports Show. Stay tuned. Lady Rams basketball is next on the other side of the break.